All right. Goz Master here with another Magic the Gathering puzzle quest. Today's quest, part two of our Kamigawa nonsensory. We're going to go through and looking at the Kamigawa cards as they are in Kamigawa and how I would want them to be ported over from Facebook to, or I'm sorry, from Kamigawa Neon deal to where we are here. So what's up? Bernard Nerds, what's up, man? How are you, dude? Congratulations. Welcome to being the first to comment on the stream. I appreciate you being here. So if you guys aren't with it, what's going on here? If this is the first time you're watching this, first and foremost, today's video is brought to you by moi, yours truly, who's got 2 thumbs and a desire to hit 1,000 subs, this guy. So if you'd be so kind as to hit the subscribe button, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. It would really help the channel out if you did that. So again, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Appreciation. Today's video is going to be overall focusing on the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty cardboard release that came out a week or so ago. I do have it on good authority that Oktagon is working hard, or Magic Puzzle Quest is working really hard right now to actually get these cards ported over. I have no insights as to what cards are going to be ported over, which ones they select, because they don't take all of them in. They just take several, quite a few of them. So I'm going to be going through the cards that I've seen that I've downloaded that I think are interesting. I'm going to be covering my thoughts, my insights on them, and as a result, I'm going to be kind of making some recommendations to gameplay. Charon in game, James is always outside. What's up, Charon? It's good to see you, man. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's not Sharon, right? It's Charon, Charon, I assume. So without further ado, let's jump right into it here. We've got a limited time. I have a meeting I'm going to have to get to here in just a bit. So I want to cover some of these cards with you. Colossus Sky Turtle. 4 colorless, 2 green and a blue. Enchantment creature turtle. So it's an enchantment creature. Flying ward 2. Channel. 2 colorless plus a green. Discard Colossal Sky Turtle. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So that's something you can do to discard the card and while it's in hand and pull it up to your hand. Discard Colossal Sky Turtle. Return target creature to its owner's hand. So it has triple ability. It's a 6/5 beast of a creature. We can cheat out somehow by getting it on the board because it is a verifiable creature first. We can discard it for one of 2 ways. Number 1, with a green and 2 colorless. Throw it into the yard. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Or I can discard it and actually use it to return target creature to its owner's hand. So flash removal? It doesn't say anything about not being able to trigger this only during sorcery, so I would assume that it has some flash ability. So I wonder if A, Oktagon ports it over, how they would port it. A, it's a creature. B, it's got wards flying. C, it's got these channel abilities. And if it gives us the option to store some mana, maybe like a what's the card type? It's the one that does the cleave. So we can actually store 2 different types of mana. It's core mana and then it's secondary mana. A hard K from Greek. So it's Karin. Okay, cool. Thank you, Karin. With that said, that may be how it plays. Either way, what would be really cool is multi-function use creatures. Yes, so that we can have multiple creatures in our builds and not just be limited for its impact to be made by the 3 creature slots we have on the board. Ikoria was great because we had Mutate. Now we're getting some creature cards, hopefully with the mechanics here. I don't have any confirmation on this, that will allow you to double them as equipments. This furthers those creatures' ability that are really going to be key in Puzzle Quest, and they can take, guys, Octi, you guys can take this and knock it out of the park by making decks that are all creatures that still have functional use. They have multi-purpose use. And at the end of the day, they still can function as creatures that hit the board. Very excited for this. I think this is going to be really cool. I hope that we see some of that going on. Aiganjo Uprising. So this is X, red, white. Sorcery, create X 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. Each opponent creates X -1 2/2 white samurai creature token with vigilance. So let me read that again. So we get to create X 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. They gain menace and haste until end of turn. So we can attack with them right away. Our opponent, on the other hand, gets to create X -1 2/2 white samurai creature tokens with vigilance. So we're going to get 5 creatures on our side. They're going to get 4 creatures on their side. but ours have menace and haste and vigilance. So if we decide to leave them back, we can block whatever they decide to go with. Ideally, what you would do is stack this card. Let's say it gives you some stored mana. You're able to cast it. You get up to 10 cards that you can do, or 5 creatures that you can play off with this, right? Well, immediately following that, you would run something that gives -2/-2 to their creatures, something that affects their creature board, so that you're then removing it from them. Or if you have creature, objectives that are all about destroying creatures, this would give you something to be able to do in its stead. I think this would be a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of neat little shenanigans we could get into with this. What's up? What's this ish? It's good to see you, dude. I totally agree about mutation. I think mutation was fun, and I think this is going to be a newer form of mutation that's going to work with it. I think this card specifically has the potential to get just really stupid. I hope we get it, and I hope that it's a fun mechanic. Please don't dumb it down. I would like to play with something that is good for my opponent as well for myself, and have something to create some synergy and some alternate, I don't know, just some different nuances in the game I think this would provide. I think that's kind of fun. All right, next, Greasefang Okiba Boss. It's one colorless, white, and black. So it's a 3 casting cost creature, legendary creature, rat pilot. At the beginning of combat on your turn, return target vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of your next end step. I love this double function. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, I love Reanimator, so I get to toss stuff in the yard, vehicle. I get to get it on the board at the beginning of my turn. I can pilot it or do whatever I want to on the board, however piloting is going to work. Actually, we had cards from, I forget the set name. Guys, remind me, what's the set name that had the vehicles in it? That was, what's the name? Just type it in here, please. And the vehicles there didn't have crew. They were just creatures. Have we seen crew in any kind of form or fashion inside of Puzzle Quest? Do you think they'll port over crew in some fashion or another? I'm not sure, but this is cool because it's got Reanimator and it allows me to bounce that card up to my hand. So I assume that the enchantment or the artifact that hits the board, or the vehicle rather that hits the board, get some type of enchantment that at the end of turn, return this card to your owner's hand, or at the beginning of your next end step, in this case end of turn, return it to your hand. So I don't know. I think this would have some really fun synergy, especially if we're playing some stuff that costs less for having artifacts on the board. Not sure, but I like this card. Plus, just look at it. It's a low casting cost, so let's say 9 casting for a 4/3 body for something in PQ. That's significant. That would actually play. I'm kind of interested in that. Hinata Dawn Crowned. One colorless, blue, red, white. Multicolor cards. Cannot express enough how many Karn needs these cards. He needs all of the multicolor cards. So legendary creature, Kairin Spirit. That's a drink, isn't it? Flying Trample. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each target. Spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast for each target. I love cheapening things in hand, so it costs less to cast. I love penalizing my opponent. That's control in that way. And it's a 4/4 body for 4 essentially here. So you're talking 12 maybe for a 4/4 creature that casting costs transferred into PQ. I think this would be really neat. Plus the flying, plus the trample. This is a solid creature. It would be a good Ixalan too. Oh, Kaladesh is the thing I was. Thanks, Francisco. I appreciate it. Kaladesh is the set I'm thinking of that has all the vehicles. There's an 18-second delay in these things, so I'll ask a question. You'll reply. I won't see it till 18 seconds later, so just know that I'm not ignoring you. But I think this will be a fun creature. Will it be particularly broken? I don't think so. But I think anything that can trim off a little bit of casting cost for our spell cards, for mana casting, I think are pretty significant. So we'll see. It can, especially where you see synergy for that, is something to the effect of Blue Sun Zenith, where Blue Sun Zenith had, where it would give 10 mana, or it used to give 11, and I think they downgraded it to 10 if I'm correct. But that extra 1 mana makes a difference. That took a whole group of cards out of your ability to synergize with that really broke it. So just trimming it that 1, brought cards out of the wheelhouse of breaking Blue Sun Zenith, which is kind of a broken card already. But something like this that makes cards cost less, now you can bring some of those cards back in. And This is just all spells, so I'm assuming that's all, permanents and non-permanents as well, or is it just instants and sorceries? Typically they word them instants and sorceries, so it should be all of them. Please give us a new Tameo Planeswalker. They will. Katos the Silent Spider. This is a 5 casting cost, 3 colors, black and blue. Legendary creature, human ninja. When Kotos, the Silent Spider, enters the battlefield, exile target card other than a basic land card from your opponent's graveyard. Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles for as long as you control Kotos. You may play one of the exiled cards, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast it. So, lots of stuff here. Pretty positive they're not going to give us a way to eliminate a card from our opponent's library. Did I read that correctly? Search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name. Now, in paper cardboard Magic, you're limited to 4 of each card. So the max you're going to get in exile for your ability to cast is 4. In Puzzle Quest, that's not the case. We have unlimited cards. So in this case, I'm sure they'll only allow us to do maybe the graveyard in hand, something of that nature, maybe discard or exile one of those cards that we can cast at any time. In addition to that, I think we'll probably select it and it'll come into our hand with some mana in it. Not sure how they would play it, but I like taking my opponent's cards. 5 for a 4/4 and that ability. In paper Magic, this is cool because it's a living. What is it? It's a living the card that exiles all the different cards from hand. We had a couple of sorceries that did that beforehand. Now it's a creature, and yeah, for as long as you control it. So they're exiled permanently. Doesn't matter. Even if this creature dies, that effect still happens. They stay in exile. In this case, though, when they die, as long as it's on the board, I can cast that card using this ability. So, frankly, I would like it to see it hit the board. For that paragraph, that big wall of copy there, that would be very interesting to see. I would love the ability to get more cards from them and play in my end. I think we just get the mana associated with it. Ryu, Storm's Edge, 2 colorless, red and a white, legendary creature, human samurai. First strike. Whenever a samurai or warrior you control attacks alone, untap it. If it's the first combat phase of the turn, there is an additional combat phase after this phase. Okay, 2 things. Number 1, 4 for a 3/3, a little bit low. First strike, that's good. Samurai and warriors, how are they going to handle samurai and warriors or warriors? Well, in this case, warrior is an evergreen ability, so this function will impact other cards in PQ. Any warriors that we have right now will be able to be impacted by Ryu's Storm's Edge, right? Now the challenge is we can't attack with one creature. They're all going to attack. So in this case, I think what they'll give you is the ability to say, hey, you have the option at the beginning of combat, you can choose to disable all your other creatures till the end of the attack turn or till the end of turn, right? Because they're not going to do anything otherwise. Till end of turn. While you do that, or they gain can't attack, can't block. Because if you think about it, like AOD's on the board, Angel of Destiny. If I disable her, then I lose my lifelink for Ryu or any other of my warriors. I don't want to do that. So I would rather just keep her from attacking, can't attack, can't block, right? Till the end of turn, because they're not attacking us, so it'd be fine. And as a result of doing that, this guy then gets the other resonated abilities. I think that's how that could play. If this is the first combat phase on your turn, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. I would love, Oktagon, come on, man. I would love to get an additional attack phase. I would love to get an additional attack phase. That's one thing I don't think we've done. Double strike and stuff like that, okay. I would rather we have an additional attack phase, because then this guy can attack, do his thing, do the 1. And there's lots of creatures that can benefit for one creature attacking. And then second attack, we get to attack with all our things, and maybe we do something fantastic with it. I think that would be a lot of fun. Please, Oktagon, bring that to Puzzle Quest. I would love the ability to have dual attack phases. I don't know how you guys would pull it off. That's what I would love to see. Realistically, what do I expect? I think this guy gains a double strike, and that's probably the end of it. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe your creatures gain double strike if you pause one of your creatures. I don't know. I would love to see it ported over, though, just as is. And the big benefit there, getting an extra attack turn. Yes, please. That would be fantastic. All right, that's enough of that. Rizona Asari Commander. 1 colorless, white, and red. Human Samurai. Has haste for a 3/3. Whenever Rizona Asari Commander deals combat damage to a player, if it doesn't have an indestructible counter on it, put an indestructible counter on it. Whenever combat damage is dealt to you, remove an indestructible counter from Rizona. So, there's the easy way this could get ported over, and then there's the more effective way, which I really would like to see, but I'm not sure it's possible. All right, number 1. Whenever Rizona Asari Commander deals combat damage to a player, if it doesn't have an indestructible counter on it, put an indestructible counter on it. Prevent damage. Easily enough, it becomes prevent damage. I'll go over the easy function first. It has prevent damage, and as long as you don't personally take any damage, whenever specifically combat damage is dealt to you specifically, then this loses indestructible. How I could break this, or how fun this would be, is then I use some type of reach or some type of vigilance or something that gives this the ability to defend, and as a result, defender, vigilance, reach, any of those things. That way, any creature that's attacking from their side doesn't hit you and your planeswalker, or your planeswalker essentially. And as a result, this keeps the indestructible or the prevent damage icon. Okay. That's the easy way to do it. Be a fun card to play with. I think it'd be interesting. It'd be a pain in the tail to see land on Greg's side with some type of reach function, or reach would be it because it doesn't have flying. Here's the real way I'd like to see it done. Hey, Oktagon, I'd like you to rethink the way you do prevent damage. So there's 3 things. There is prevent damage, right? Which in this case, or protection from a color, prevent damage, and then there's indestructible. We don't really have indestructible in the game. We have prevent damage. And prevent damage is they don't take any damage. However, they still can be destroyed with destroy effects. I would like to see us bring in indestructible to creatures. We have 3 slots. Make one of them, or some way for us to make them indestructible, would be sassy. Because then standard Magic cardboard rules apply. We can still exile them. We can still bounce them. We can still do all the things we normally do to a creature. However, that would destroy indestructible, or get rid of indestructible, I should say. Now, never mind pairing that with Savior of Ollenbach or Guardian of Faith. It's going to be brutal. However, I would really like to see protection from a color be pure protection from a color. If something is green attacking my protected creature, it's not half damage, it's 0 damage, right? Secondarily, I would like us to introduce indestructible into the meta. I think we could play it. I think there's enough exile. I think there's enough constant ways of dealing with creatures in this way that it wouldn't be overpowered, and it would be something to deal with. I think that's a thing that we can do, and I would love to see it. What are your guys' thoughts? Is that too powerful? Is that too much of an ask? What do you guys think? I don't think so. I want some indestructies. I want all the Timmy. I am a total Timmy, I know. And I wants it. I wants it bad. Francisco says, since all masterpieces in PQ are cards from past sets that somehow relate to the set being released, have you thought of cards from the past Kamigawa block that you would like to see in the Neo? You know, that's a great question. I would love to, maybe I'll shoot another video about that. I'd like to get to the rest of the ones I have here today, but I don't know if that's going to be plausible because I only have a few more minutes here. Pair with Rem Carlos. Yeah, but the thing with this is that this already has the indestructible. I thought about putting Slayer on here, right? Slayer! However, this already has its own form of indestructible. And Slayer is an awesome card. I called it in the beginning. I still call it now. I think that's one of the most powerful cards that came from that set, and I just adore it. There's so many flexible uses for it. It's ridiculous. This in and of itself is the card alone. So it does it for itself. In addition to that, really, it's not even because the creature is overpowered and great. It's good. I want it for introducing Indestructible to the platform. That's it. Moving on. Here you go, Bernard. It is time, my friend. Tamiyo, Completed Saga. Completed Sage. Can I just tell you that when I read the story for this, that my heart was broken. I love Tamiyo as a creature. I love Tamiyo as a creature. Or as a planeswalker, rather. I love her story arc. I just think she's super cool. And what they did her dirty in this. It's kind of cool. It's really neat. But man, it's I kind of got sad over it. Like here's this woman that's really helped, so many different planes and stuff, especially with like the Eldrazi attacking Innistrad. And now her story is she's basically turned into one of the Borg. It's crazy, right? So James says, I want some decent 3-cost spells out of the set. I do too. I think that would be great. Please give us Indestructible and add Darksteel Colossus Lava. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go retrofit Darksteel, but I would love me some Indestructible, and he's absolutely one that should get it. That's Timmy from the day. That's way OP Timmy. Like, could you imagine an Indestructible Colossus in today's meta with all the brokery we have? That'd be insane. But let's go over Tamiyo. All right, Tamiyo. So I'm going to start now so I can timestamp for this one. Tamiyo completed Sage. Now you've heard my ramblings. 2 colorless, green. This little icon means we can play either green or blue. So I think what they'll do in this instance, they will obviously just going to add to the total cost. So 1, 2, 3, 5. So that'll be, 15 to get this on the board typically. Legendary Planeswalker, Tamiyo. Completed, can be paid with yada or yada. Now here's the other thing that I really like. You can pay 2 life instead of the other mana cost. So you can actually cast this for 4 plus 2 life. Again, I've said this in the previous video. I'm going to say it now. I would love the ability to play alternate play casting or alternate pay either in life or in something to be able to cast a card. That would be really, really neat. I would love the ability to do that. Hang on one second. Sorry, I thought we had somebody at the door. So I think that would be really, really cool. So tap up to her first ability, +1. Tap up to 1 target artifact or creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So it's not yours. You can tap somebody else's. But if you do have one on the board, if they're not playing those, that's what you'd have to do. So it'd be disable in our deal up to 1. One thing we don't have in the mechanics of PQ right now is the ability to select our supports on the board. So it doesn't give us the option to select and target specific supports. I would love to see us be able to do that. Don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but this would be really neat to be able to say, hey, here's your 5 items. Which do you want to do? And all they have to do is put the 4 different things that you have on the board and let you select which one you want to disable and go from there. Or your opponent's disabled. Like you can pick and choose which ones they are. Priority to your opponent's stuff versus yours. I don't know. I don't know how it would work, but there you go. -X. Exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. I love this. I'm just curious as to how they will do that. Now, this is a Planeswalker, so she's going to be green and blue. She will have. Would they dare make this a 3rd color Planeswalker? You think? Oh God, I'd hope so. I don't think so, but that would be great. So we would have to have, let's say, for loyalty ability for this first one, tap up to 1 target artifact or creature. So disable target creature to beginning of your next turn. Yeah. And in this case, this would be, let's say 7, I think is fair for that. For a temp, 5 to 7, somewhere in that low deal. It'd have to give you something else in ramp, because if I'm just doing that to stall something for a minute, doesn't seem like it's a good thing. Plus, it's giving me the plus would be something else. It'd have to do something else for us, right? Okay, so exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X or from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that thing. I would probably think they do 15 or less, and it would. I think that would cost 15 in loyalty to cast, 15 and 19, and then it wouldn't be any card. It would be under. I hope it would be any card that we exile from our graveyard. I'm pretty sure they're going to do like something that costs X or less in converted mana cost. And then finally, the ultimate ability, create Tamiyo's Notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast cost 2 less to cast and draw a card. That's cool. I would love to see some type of, what is it? The icon that hits the board, some type of support that's indestructible. And your spells do cost 2 less to cast. And in addition to that, every time you cast the spell, you draw a card. Loop. I want a loop. Yes, I know. I want a loop. And maybe that costs 27, something like that. I think that'd be pretty fair to ramp up to. We'd go from there. All right, so more comments here. Since all yada yada. James, yes. Slayer. We can already pay a card's casting cost with Zendikar's Jace third Planewalker ability. Write it out, because I don't know that I have that. More importantly, who plays with Jace? Jace. Come on. They were stuck with the Planeswalker's color. Yeah, I think they're stuck with the Planeswalker's colors too. Black, green, blue. If they did black, green, blue, man, that would be fantastic. But I'm pretty positive they're not going to. As far as if this were a Vanguard, disable, and then you get the +1. Exile target non-land permanent. I think X or less would be pretty tough to do. I think it would probably be -5, really. And then it would be 15 or less or 10 or less or something like that. And then third would be Cretamio's Notebook Legend, yada yada. Don't think you're going to get that full ability. I think it would be something of you draw X cards and those cards gain Y mana. Something like that. Maybe the number of artifacts you have on the board, something like that. Or spells you have in your graveyard. I don't know. A couple of different cool things can be done there. I would like to see it. I'd like to see it be breakable. All right, Spirit Sister's Call. 3 colorless, white and a black. Enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, choose target permanent card in your graveyard. You may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type with it. The chosen card. If you do, return that chosen card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains. If this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead, putting it anywhere else. Again, you know what I'm going to do. It's white, so it's going to pair well with Savior of Olembach or Guardian of Faith. Anything that's going to do some exile things. I would love to be able to have, case in point, I have, what's his name? The judge. The judge is on the board. Faithbound Judge, he's on the board. I sack him because I want him in the yard, because I want to make a white match so I can exile him so I can bring him back down with Guardian of Faith. I bring another creature to the board that I want. Maybe they killed my Guardian of Faith and I want to get him back. So then I kill, whatchamacallit, I kill, and it's an enchantment too, so it'll go right into that build that I already have. So it'll kill Judge, bring Guardian, make my white swap, puts Judge into the exile, Guardian of Faith brings back my Judge. Dogs and cats living together. So I totally want this for one deck that I play, and I think it's fantastic. I also think it'll have some fun shenanigans with, getting some tokens out there. No non-token. Come on, Oktagon. No non-token. So just any creature that's on the board shares a creature type, a permanent I can sacrifice. Even sacrificing the ability to choose. Do I want to sacrifice a creature? Or do I want to sacrifice one of my artifacts or enchantments, right? Kill those, bring this back to the board. I think that gives us all kinds of different fleshy goodness that we can do. I like this kind of stuff. Moving on. Eater of Virtue, 1 mana legendary artifact equipment. Whenever an equipped creature dies, exile it. Again, synergy, like what we've talked about here a second ago. As long as card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, equipped creature has flying. The same is true for first strike, double strike, death touch, haste, yada, 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 all the way through. So I think this will be really cool as some type of an equipment to be able to, it's going to start to stockpile evergreen abilities. So that's kind of fun. They've tried doing this in the past and it just doesn't work. I think this would have to be a support that hits the board and is an equipment at the same time in some way, form, or fashion. I don't know how they would pull that off, because in Puzzle Quest, it doesn't work that way as it does in Paper Magic. I have this, it stays on the board. The creature dies. I don't lose the equipment. The creature goes to the graveyard. The equipment stays. He drops the sword. But he gains the ability. He soul sucks them, right? And then he's able to give that to his next user. That's awesome. We don't have really anything that does that per se now. And I'd love to see us have a support that hits a board that does give that ability, and when a creature dies, you could give that support those evergreen abilities, and the creature in the first position gets those evergreen abilities as they die. If we play it like that, that would make this a lot of fun. Then we can make it just put creatures on the board and sack them. Imagine this. It's colorless. Imagine this in a Johnny Invigorate Leadership deck. So I have lifelink, double strike. I have prevent damage. And then I have other creatures that have those innate abilities too. So every time a creature dies in that first position, this sword gets all of that ability. And then when that another creature hits, even if just one of our token cats, it gets all of those plus some. Beautiful. Beautiful. I would love to do that. I think that would be a heck of a time. That'd be a lot of fun. I'd even see this giving it one support shield. Make it really easy to break. It's totally fine, because then that keeps it balanced. So I don't know. I think that would be a lot of fun. Mecha Titan, what is this? Mecha Titan Core. 2 colorless artifact vehicle, 5 mana, exile Mecha Titan core and 4 other artifact creatures and or vehicles you control. Create Mecha Titan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste. That's all colors. That's what gets me really excited. Return all cards. Okay, hold on. When that token leaves the battlefield, return all cards exiled with Mecha Titan core except Mecha Titan core to the battlefield tapped under your owner's control. This has so much potential that I just can't even stand it. So early game, you got a 2/4 body that you can actually do some things. Late game, mid game, so you actually start to cultivate and get the other things. You find a way to activate its triggered ability, probably an activated gem. You have X number of artifacts on the board. Maybe you wipe your other creatures out or any artifact creatures. You need to have 5 artifact tokens. In this case, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go throw some treasures on the board, right? I'm going to go sack those 5 treasures along with this creature, and I get a 10/10 flying haste lifelink with, a great SAT score and do some things. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to have this card over, and I'd love to see it come over and be ported in. I think this would be a lot of fun. Plus, if you remove it, if it's destroyed, you're not just SOL. You actually wind up getting any of the hardcore artifacts you wind up putting out there in the first place. All right, let's do one more here, and then we're going to call it a day. Reckoner Bankbuster, 2 colorless artifact vehicle. Reckoner Bankbuster enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it. Remove a charge counter from Bankbuster, draw a card. Then if there are no charge counters on Reckoner Bankbuster, create a treasure token and a 1/1 colorless pilot creature token with this creature accrues vehicles as though its power was 2 or greater. So I think the easy thing here is 2 mana for a 4/4. Pretty powerful. Again, no crew inside of Puzzle Quest, so are you going to do that, Oktagon? In other words, we have to have some type of cost, some other creatures on the board that we sack to put the creature on the board, and then minus the crew ability per turn. I don't know. But in addition to that, this puts 3 activated gems on the board. Anytime we destroy one of those activated gems, we draw a card. And then, I don't know about the charge counters on here. I think once all the activated gems are removed from the board, then you get a secondary creature, and maybe you sacrifice this in some way. So the advantage is you draw the card, and maybe they gain some mana, I think would be a fair exchange. But then from there, you get to start taking things off as you go. Why this is good is because it's a cheap body, and really, frankly, bringing in the crew, I think would be kind of interesting to see how we do that. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that. What are your thoughts? Are there any cards yet so far? We'll probably have to have a part 3 for this because I've got another meeting I have to jump to. I'm already late for. So that said, my friends, I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for hanging out with me for the last few minutes. As always, I know you can be anywhere you choose to be here with me here. If you haven't quite registered or haven't subscribed, do me a solid. Hit the subscription, hit the bell notifications, get all the notifications. That way you never miss a live or a next video post that I do. And in addition to that, subscribe, comment, let me know your gamer name in the comments as well as in the chat as well. And go to the Discord. I'd love to hear your comments. Let me know you're in. Join the party. We got a whole group of nerds in there that love talking about this kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. Final thing I will say here. I got a note from Oktagon, seeing in a conversation in one of the groups that I'm in on Discord, that the team is on vacation till the 3rd or till today or something like that. So when they're back, so it's pretty safe to assume that as of this recording today, they don't have any cards they have out. So they're not realistically going to be putting out the previews today. Hopefully tomorrow, or maybe sometime this week. Ideally, though, if they don't have them this week and if they give them to us any earlier than next Monday or next Tuesday, rather, they probably won't push to the next week after. If they give them to us Friday, let's say, then they most likely will give us the card set on next Tuesday. I just find it hard to think that they're on vacation right before they go into a big launch, so I got to assume it's probably going to be a couple weeks. So realistically, preview next Tuesday, and then the card set drop the week after. Or maybe they finished all their work early, said take a break, and then we're going to get it out in the next week. Who knows? What I do know is we don't have any previews today. So that said, I will be hitting you up with the 3rd. If you're enjoying these, let me know. Got a great suggestion for me to go look at the old Kamigawa set and see if there's any cards I'd like to see be broken into in the new one. Maybe I'll cover that in the next set, but we shall see. Until our next quest, my friends, as always, I appreciate you. And as always,